Good afternoon and welcome to Matchday Live. Blackburn Rovers, Ewood Park is the destination for Leeds United, and over 7,000 travelling supporting fans making that journey over the Pennines today. Leeds looking to make it another win, which will be 3 in the space of 7 days against today's opponents. This game is available outside the UK and Ireland. You can get your LUTV Matchday Pass from the LUTV website to enjoy all the action. Kick-off in just under half an hour at 1:30 today. Joining me in the studio is two former Leeds players and former Leeds manager who've also played for the opposition by, according to Wikipedia, I hear, for the exact same number of appearances, 34. Matteo and Simon Grayson with us both. Does that sound about right? 34 appearances?
Probably something like that. I'm not sure how many good ones, but that's why there's so many.
Probably the same.
Maybe Wikipedia's only recorded the memorable ones. Who knows? Guys, this is a massive game today, and like I say, a chance for Leeds to go 3 wins in a week, which is no mean feat to go and do that. But we're coming to this in really good form, Simon, and looking to try and get a good away result.
Yeah, look, when you get 3 games in a week, it's important you get off to a positive start with the previous ones. And obviously, scoring in the last minute at Swansea last Sunday was an unbelievable confidence boost to everybody when it looked like we were going to have a settle for a draw. Then the performance on Wednesday night was really comfortable against sort of a poor team, if I'm being honest, in Luton. But you have to do what you do. 3 goals and a clean sheet sets you up for this group of fixtures coming up now, which on paper, which we know isn't always as easy as it looks, a good game starting to the Derby County and others after that, where it could be a really good run of consistent. And it's about getting the momentum of winning matches, confidence, belief, and just rolling with it game to game, really. So they'll be looking forward to this game, I'm sure of it.
Dom, Leeds have twice gone to the top of the table in that time, and twice because of the way the fixtures have worked. And Sheffield United won last night against Sunderland, been dropped back now into second place, but an opportunity to stake their claim once again at the top of the table. A win today will do that.
Yeah, and I think like Simon said, we're playing really well. You know, we got that last minute winner, and then obviously the performance against Luton was, I mean, they were poor, I'll be honest, they were a poor side, but you've still got to beat them, and we've beaten them quite well and quite comfortable. But I think we'll just go in with a lot of confidence. I think the one thing I still think, can we put games to bed away from home a bit quicker maybe? When we get chances, we don't seem to take them as much, but I think today, hopefully, if we get them opportunities away against a well-drilled Blackburn team, that we can make sure we take them chances when they come around.
You see the players sort of arriving a little bit earlier on today. Presumably, Simon, when you're in this kind of run where, you know, they're playing pretty good football, they're getting results, that clean sheet, like you mentioned, midweek as well, just every game when it rolls on, you just must be feeling fantastic, top of your game, and just looking forward to getting out there and playing.
Well, definitely. When you're losing games, you don't want the next game to come quickly. But sometimes when you're going win, and the momentum of a last-minute winner, as I mentioned at Swansea, into this now, the boys will be full of confidence and can't wait for this to start. And it's going to be a tough game. Blackburn are a bit unpredictable at times, but again, Leeds have got a group of players that are doing well. As Dom mentioned as well, one little sort of thing is that seems to get 1-0 up. Can we get that second goal a little bit quicker? The other night they had a couple of opportunities in Luton to go back to 1-1 when Pascal cleared it off the line, which was a remarkable clearance. But to get the goal on half time, can we just get that a little bit early, just to ease everybody a little bit and calm everybody down? But winning 3-0 and to get 3 wins in a week would be tremendous.
Yeah. And I would have thought we saw Daniel Farke coming in there. We'll hear from him later on. He'll want something calmer than last Sunday, which that game seems like ages ago now, doesn't it? But obviously it's only like, you know, just under a week ago since that game. But he'll want something more that resembled Wednesday night than last Sunday.
Yeah, of course he will. But you know, the manager sets high standards, doesn't it? We can see that. And I think what was interesting again, because obviously we do the player of the match games, we're waiting for a while. Daniel didn't come, the player of the match didn't come in for about 45 minutes, so he's obviously saying things before that as well. So I think he's very measured in what he does and what he says and the times he does stuff. And even like when he speaks, he just seems to talk a lot of sense. Simon will know as a manager, sometimes you don't want to be saying too much, and I think especially when in the position we're in, pushing to try and, you know, get back into the Premier League. I just think he's very calm in what he says, and doesn't get the players too, you know, thinking too far ahead. It's like game by game. When you're in this good run, just day by day, game by game, just keep, you know. And I think we've got the players that we can change. You know, can make changes. It doesn't really affect the team so much. Whereas You know, last year I think there was times where we needed them players to be right, but I think now we can rotate and it's kind of working for him.
Well, rotating is certainly something he's having to do, particularly the wide areas. I mean, just in terms of today's team news, a couple of changes which see Sam Byram's not in the squad today. Obviously came off earlier with a slight injury after scoring against Luton in the second half. He came off in that game. So Junior Firpo back from suspension. He goes straight back into the team. And then it's in those wing positions, isn't it? Who was going to start in those? There's 4 wingers chomping at the bit for the 2 starting places. Today it's Dan James, who of course came on and scored and in midweek, and Willie Nonto, who scored the winner at Swansea, who get the nod. Yeah. You're talking about rotation. He's got to keep 4 very, very good players happy here at the moment, doesn't he, Simon?
Yeah, he does. And we spoke about this the other night, that I thought Dan would come back into the game today. Probably bigger spaces. Luton defended quite deep here, and it's not Dan's ideal game. Yeah. But the space where he can counter-attack like he did against Swansea with the 3 assists is perfect for him today. And I think Daniel's been really clever. He's giving them all bits of game time. But they all know they're going to get a starting chance over this busy period that's coming up. There's a lot of games in December, especially when you get to Boxing Day and the games in between, New Year's Day, etc. So, yeah, they all want to play every minute, but you can keep them fresh for the whole duration of the season. It's a great position to be in, to have 4 absolutely, if not probably the best 4 wingers, strikers, attacking players in the Championship. 2 on the pitch, 2 sort of on the bench, ready to come on at any time.
And when they are coming on, those players, we're seeing them, aren't we? They're then making impact, which is the important thing. Because sometimes when players haven't started, it's harder to get into the game. But you see, Dan James, on he comes, almost immediate impact.
Yeah, and I think what I've loved, and I've seen it last season, there was a little bit of, not sulking, but in my opinion, there was a little bit of that going on because they weren't getting picked. But you've got to earn that right to be picked. And I think at the moment it looks like when he's making changes, it's fine because they know they're going to get game time as well. They're going to come on for 25, 30 minutes maybe if we need to change it. If not, just the options. I think what's been so good this season for me is the 2 midfield lads who've come in, Rothwell and Tanaka. They are the ones who, for me, have led by example. They're not going to get the goals that we always talk about from the midfield areas, but they're happy because they know the wide lads and the forward-thinking players will create all that. So they might chip in with 1 or 2 this season. But I think the way they've played this season, them 2 players, I tell you what, it's going to be difficult for the other lad to get back in because at the moment they've been the best 2 players for me. They've been the heartbeat of that team. And Rothwell's gone a little bit under the radar for me. I know everyone's been talking about Tanaka, but Rothwell's a really clever footballer. He knows what he's doing. Simon will know. He's one of those players that you don't see too much of, but what he does is very good. And I think he's helped the defence as well at times. I know away from home it might be different, but when you've got the 2 sitting like we do, and one sometimes get them. But what I've liked about them 2 midfield players, they're actually looking forward a little bit, rather not side to side. One of them at times is just looking forward. We've seen Tanaka's had a few chances trying to create stuff. So for me, I just think them 2 have helped so much. I know we've got other good players waiting to come back in, like the captain, but at the moment, them 2 are playing as well as anyone.
Look at you adding more headaches for Daniel Farke. Well, there'll be good headaches to have at some point,
From my point,
It's a nice position to
correct,
be.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get some pre-match thoughts from one of the starting 11 for Leeds United today, who of course played a pinpoint pass for that Dan James goal we were talking about to kill off that game against Luton. Here's the thoughts of Jaden Bogle.
Well, Jaden, another championship challenge. What do you expect today?
Yeah, it'll be a tough game. They're a good side. They'll make it difficult for us. But I think the important thing is to focus on ourselves and do what we've been doing well.
There's 2 teams coming into this one off good results in midweek. Does that help them potentially winning away at Middlesbrough?
Oh yeah, always give you confidence after a win. But as I said, I think it's important that we focus on ourselves and do the right things like we've been doing, and hopefully can pick up 3 points.
Super tight there at the top. So you were top, now you're not. For the chance to get back there again, is that important to try and do that today?
Yeah, of course. Whenever there's an opportunity to go back to the top, you want to take it and take full advantage of that. So hopefully we can do that today.
So there you go, Jaden Bogle, contributing as well. We knew when we signed him that he's got good contribution in terms of returns for assists and chipping in with goals as well, and seeing him doing that, scoring recently, and also that assist for Dan James at the weekend during the week. It's important for those players to be contributing in those areas.
Well, it is. Modern day fullbacks, and especially how Daniel wants them to play, is to be attack-minded, get up and down, but you've still got to remember he's a defender and he's got to have his defensive duties. And if you're being honest, I don't think Jaden's probably the most natural of defenders, and probably Firpo on the other side as well. But because we have so much possession of the ball, they can get up and support and assist. But when he has been called upon, he hasn't let the team down at times. So I think he's been a good signing, and he just keeps giving us something else to this team, which has a lot of possession, that does attack most of the time, and growing into a Leeds United player game by game, with assists, with goals, and long may it continue for him.
Yeah, I think you're right, because he was one of them players when he first came in. I don't think he got off to a great start, and all of a sudden it's got better and better and better. And like you say, he's chipped in with assists and scoring goals as well. So it was a good sign, that very shrewd sign from. It was.
Let's take a look at the highlights from the other night, because it was that 3-0 win against Luton, which made it 2 wins in the week, and we'll get to the third goal in a minute, but we'll start with this one, talking about fullback Sam Byram, and with the Sam Byram scissor kick no one necessarily saw coming. I'm not sure whether Sam Byram saw this coming.
We're still trying to find out why Sam was out of the squad today, probably because of a nosebleed from Wednesday night still, that he sort of didn't realise he was that far forward, but it was a fantastic finish, and you can see the excitement on his face. He's one that doesn't score too many goals, and when it comes back onto him, exactly. I did say that the other night, that Jermaine was saying, well, he could score loads, but Sam's excitement on his face then, and even Daniel's really surprised. Yeah. Probably was a double take. Sam Byram shooting and scoring.
He did as well. He has chipped in with a few, hasn't he, Sam? He's a big physical presence as well, and I think when I played in that position as well as a fullback, I hated playing fullback because I was a centre half, but sometimes you've got to step in and do that. He's done brilliant.
The performance overall, it's a good time to score, isn't it, right before half-time, and we conceded just before half-time in that game against Swansea last week, but really good time to score, going in 2-0 at the break. What impressed you most about that performance? Is it the clean sheet? Is it the fact that it was, it was pretty comfortable all along? Was the fact that in the moments that mattered, someone like Pascal Struijk stepped up and made sure he cleared it off the line? What was it for you?
Exactly, that's what it was. The key moments when we were under a little bit of pressure, we dealt with them in terms of Pascal clearing it away. Got away with one, the lad got a free header at the far post, and then at the right time go 2-0 up. The goalkeeper had a couple of saves to make second half, which weren't too hard opportunities, but you still have to be on your toes. And then to get the third one, great ball, Bogle, lovely finish from Dan James. He waited for the keeper to get to a position and dipped it over him. And overall, it was a real professional performance. But the key moments when we needed them, as in scoring, got them at the right times, but didn't concede at the wrong times. Because if this game goes 1-1 the other night, it becomes a little bit more different atmosphere within the stadium. The Luton players become a little bit more positive in their manner. The Luton supporters do. So it was defenders defend well, and as we asked Pascal after the game, he was buzzing to have kept a clean sheet.
I think Dan James, form-wise, he's on fire, isn't he? Just get the ball to me out wide. He's got that energy and the pace, obviously we know, but I even think he's been a bit more balanced in the way he's, even assisting and the way he's playing. He looks a bit more, I know he's knocking on a little bit, but he's still got a lot of quality because he's played at the highest level, and I think now we're seeing the best of a player who's got that much of ability and pace, but using it in the right way. When you've got that much pace, you've got to use it the right way, and I think he's doing that.
The one thing Dom touched on earlier about sort of last year, one or two players are sort of a little bit playing for themselves, possibly, but the thing for me was that a lot of the lads knew last year that they were playing week in and week out. Somerville and one or two others, and probably didn't produce as regular performances. The lads now, between the four of them, never know when they're going to be on the bench or starting, so all they have to do is perform to the highest ability that they can do, because it gives the manager a harder decision to leave you out. If you're a little bit inconsistent, then you're not going to be starting as much. But if you're playing really to the capability to still get left out, it means the team are doing well. And it's all about the team, where maybe it wasn't last year at times.
Yeah, I agree.
We are around 15 minutes away from kick-off then, down at Ewood Park. Let's get the thoughts of our commentary team for the first time this afternoon. Bryn Law and Tony Dorigo.
So here we are at Ewood Park. It's a mild afternoon. Leeds United looking forward to another tough game in the Championship, no doubt. Team news first. And there's a change, Tony.
There is a couple of changes. Byram out and Firpo has come back into his left back spot. And Dan James is in, and Manor Solomon has dropped out. So Clearly our wide men, rotating those at the right time is going to be important with so many games. They're all playing extremely well, so it does seem a little harsh as well when one gets left out and another one doesn't, but I think that's good. It's competition is what you're after, and this time it's James and Yonto in the wide positions.
Well, it's been a really busy week, hasn't it? We've been all over the place this week.
Yeah, we have, and anytime you can do that, you don't want to change it too much, but just 2 or 3 here and there is absolutely fine. So what is our strengths? Clearly our wide men are our strengths as well, but the squad that we've got, so you have to utilise it, not only bring them on with 15, 20 minutes to go, but also a lot of games, get some fresh legs out there.
Blackburn come off the back of a good away win in midweek.
Yeah.
They've been kind of up and down in recent times, haven't they? They had a couple of good results, and then before that a little bit of a bad run. So we're trying to work out what we're going to see here today, maybe.
We're not really sure, but clearly they have some important players. Cantwell being clearly probably their most important. Keeping him quiet, I think, would be a good thing today. But we know coming here, it's this sort of teams we need to win. We need to beat to try and stay at the top of the table. So they're 8th. They have a game in hand. They're a decent side. We've played a lot of sides in that middle of the table, and that could be the difference in the end. The big games, I always feel, take care of themselves. It's the teams in the middle and at the bottom. Can we sort them out? And Blackburn are one of those.
7,000 Leeds fans have been making their way over this morning. That's an incredible support that Leeds United are going to have here. Does that help in a game like this?
Absolutely, it really does help. Obviously it helps Blackburn's coffers as well to get some money in, but I remember last season here we played really well, didn't we? We were 2 or 3 goals up. No Blackburn supporters were in the ground, they all started going home, but our lot were here right to the end, so I think that makes a big difference. Not too far away, so we're coming here in a real positive attitude with a lot of fans behind us.
Yeah, huge Leeds support, big game to come. Kick-off not too far away now.
Yeah, Brendan Tony will bring you all the commentary from 1:30 today. Let's just take a look at Blackburn and John Eustace, who I know you both know pretty well. Dom in particular, you played with John in the Stoke days, wasn't it? What kind of a job is he doing there? Interesting that they're on this slightly strange form. They've missed a game because one was postponed because of the weather, but they actually come on to this game on the back of 2 wins.
Yeah, knowing John pretty well, he's tough. Even when you played with him, he was an angry man. I like that as well, because you have to have that kind of anger to get where you got to, and he's done a brilliant job. Obviously disappointing what happened to him at Birmingham, but obviously he's come to Blackburn, and like you say, I know what he'd be like in the dressing room. He'll be on people's cases, if you're not performing, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to make sure you get the best out of players, and I think he's good at that. And I just think he's one of those lads that he's just happy to be a manager. He's enjoying it, and he was gutted to happen at Birmingham, I'm sure. But obviously now he's got another chance at a good club like Blackburn, and he's doing well. He's going to make it hard for Leeds today. There's no two ways about that. Interesting to hear him talking his pre-match press conference about Leeds United, very complimentary about Daniel Farke, and the work says likely to be top 2 is what he said. Now, how much of that from a managerial point of view, you've got to be careful what you say in press conferences. How much is that applying maybe a little bit of pressure to the opposition? How much of it is you just saying what you think? How do you approach those kind of things?
Well, I think if you were to ask every championship manager who's going to be in the top 2, and I think every manager nearly would be saying us, to be fair. Yeah. So I don't think he's saying anything just to butter us up or any psychology like maybe Sir Alex did in the day and stuff like that, but he's probably just been very honest about the situation, that we've got some really good players, missed out last year, and he knows he's going to be in a tough game. And Blackburn have been so inconsistent. I did some work the other week for some media work, and I watched them against Stoke, and they played really, really well and lost 2-0 at Ewood. The goalkeeper for Stoke had an unbelievable game that night, and they've got some good players. Cantwell's a really good player, was at previously at Norwich and Rangers, so he's a key player that we have to keep quiet, but you just never know what you're going to get from them. They go to Middlesbrough the other night and beat them. I was speaking to somebody and he was bullying Middlesbrough up, saying they're going to get promotion and stuff like that, and then I texted him next day, what's happened after Blackburn beat you? But that's Blackburn Rovers for you over the last 2 or 3 years. Last year they were fighting for their lives to stay in the division. The previous year they narrowly missed out on the playoffs. I know a lot of people over there because my lad was there for a while, and it's basically they just cannot get the right consistency with where they want to get to, and hopefully we can
take advantage of that.
Take advantage of it today, that they had the high on Wednesday night and they have a low today.
Well, let's take a look at the goals last year at Ewood Park. Leeds running out 2-0 winners last year in what was eventually a pretty comfortable game. We talked about the numbers of fans as well, and Jorginho Ruta with a pinpoint pass here, and Dan James, who starts today, scored midweek with a beautiful finish.
Yeah, it was a great move, and he gets it into that wide area. And we talked about this the other night, getting half an opportunity and getting shot off, and he does that. To be fair, he waits for the opportunity, fires it across, and give the goalkeeper no chance. And again, something like that will be great to see today.
And Somerville with a sensational finish there with the outside of his boot.
Dink over the top, that's just clever. He was that type of player, wasn't he? He was always going to do something a little bit different to other players. But yeah, great goal, great finish. And like you say, the amount of fans we get on this trip is just amazing. So as a player as well, that's great because it's more or less full. You know
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because it is so many fans to be able to take there. 7,000 Leeds fans will be there. That creates an atmosphere that is unusual in a home ground, that it almost feels not like a home game, but there's so much noise coming. That must have an impact on the players.
Well, it does. I remember going there when I was a Preston manager, and we had 7,000 supporters there, and it was and we beat them, I don't know, 2 or 3-0 or something like that. And the atmosphere was absolutely electric. And there's a special feeling amongst the away supporters because you're all in one tight area, you're all bouncing off each other, whether it's 1,000, 4,000 or 7,000 today, and there'll be some limbs knocking around after the game if there's another late winner goes in or 2 or 3 goals like the other night. So it's going to be great support.
I was chatting to him all this morning, doing a bit of a preview with all the lads on the way, and I tell you what, they are looking forward to this one. They've had a few already, as you do on them away trips, but it looks brilliant, and hopefully we can just go and get the result that they want as well.
Okay, the fans have been given the Don Matteo pep talk before setting off this morning. Watch out, Blackburn. Okay, let's hear from a player who left Ewood Park a couple of years ago. This will be his second visit back since leaving. Let's get the thoughts of Leeds United's midfielder, Joe Rothwell.
Joe, from a chaotic win on Sunday to a nice, controlled, mature performance, how can you sum up those last few days?
I think you've just summed it up perfectly. Sunday was, like you say, a bit of madness, but that's exactly what the Championship's like. And then yesterday, I wouldn't say routine, but more of how we want to play and dictate and control games. And I thought yesterday was back to our best.
Last night's win was 6 in a row, 3 clean sheets. What does that do for you as a group going forward ahead of this really busy period?
It's massive. Obviously, winning games at any point is key, but winning home games is always going to be a massive factor for us, and hopefully we can continue that and turn Elland Road into a place where teams fear coming and don't want to come.
You personally, you've had a good run of games in the team now. How are your confidence levels on a personal note?
Yeah, really high. I always knew once I could get a run of games and get my rhythm back, it was I'd be able to show what I was all about, and thankfully I've managed to do that. And as I say, obviously players coming back now, we're going to need everyone. So, but personally, I've really enjoyed playing, and I'm thankful for the staff here for giving me the opportunity to actually enjoy my football again. So I'd like to obviously thank them, and I feel like I've repaid them.
On a personal note as well, you're an experienced player at this level. What is it you can do for the group, for some of those players that haven't played around Christmas in this country? What can you bring to the table for them to try and explain what it's like?
Obviously, it's new for a few of the lads. The few of the lads who've played abroad usually get the winter break, so they get the time off. But for us, it's normal. We just play all through Christmas, and it's just something you get used to. So obviously, if the lads need any advice, I'm there to try and give them a bit of advice and help them. But you've seen how they've adapted coming over here, so I'm sure they'll find it quite easy.
Saturday's game is one for you that's a former stomping ground. When you joined the club, is it a fixture you looked out for straight away?
It was one of the first. I've only been back once since I left, so it'd be nice to go back and see a few familiar faces. And but obviously, we're going there for one reason, and that's to win the game.
In terms of, you mentioned earlier about the home support. Leeds have got over 7,000 fans going, and it's a bit cliche, but it is almost like a home game as well. So what does that do for you as a group? It's
massive, as you say. Taking 7,500 fans to an away game is unheard of, really. So I'm sure they'll make themselves heard, and as I say, they'll be massive for us through that game, and hopefully we can go out there and put on a good performance for them.
Blackburn have picked up a couple of decent wins in the last few games. In terms of a fixture itself, what are you expecting from them?
Another really tough game. As you say, they had a great result yesterday at Middlesbrough away. Not an easy place to go, and obviously they'll be full of confidence at the minute, and coming to that game fully thinking that obviously they'll want to win it as well. So it'd be up to us to go there and play our game and do what we do. And as I say, hopefully we can come on the right side of it.
So there you go, Joe Rothwell with growing influence in that Leeds United midfield. It is a big game today, isn't it? Because you look at Blackburn, actually 5 wins, 2 defeats at home. They've got a pretty good home record. And if you look at Leeds, the Luton game made it 6 wins on the bounce at home. But Simon, the away form does need to pick up a little bit.
Yeah. Blackburn last time they're home, I think they lost as well. The last 2 wins have been away from home, so they might feel a little bit more comfortable going away from home, that the supporters. But the supporters at Blackburn will be up for today. Always is the case. All of a sudden the numbers increase, the volume increases. They're just so unpredictable, as we said. I don't know what you're going to get from Blackburn Rovers. What Leeds have got to do today is just concentrate on what they can affect, and that's being strong defensively, make sure that they've been patient in attack, but when they get into that final third, be ruthless like they have been over the last few weeks.
OK, well, here we go. The players are lined up in the tunnel. Leeds with a chance to go back to the top of the Sky Bet Championship. Here we go, 7,000 Leeds fans waiting, and on the gantry, Bryn Law and Tony DeRigo with your commentary.
Teams emerge from down below, and the team in yellow, the players turn to look to their right and they see a wall of yellow and blue and white, of course, behind the goal. Leeds occupying the Darwin end of the stadium, top and bottom tier, in huge numbers. Blackburn Rovers fans not quite so populous around the rest of the stadium, it has to be said, but this is a fixture that Leeds have always been given a really healthy away contingent for, and always